Welcome to the social work race. We found the money. Yes, we have. We have found the money. Do you even know what I'm talking about? Here we go. Listen, before we even get into it, thank you for joining me today again on this channel. I just want to thank you for sharing, downloading, subscribing. It really helps, and sharing it helps others to see what's going on. This is a unique, almost unique platform where we have very frank discussions, interviews, and an analysis. Can I say that right? On what it's like to be on the front line and what's happening in society that affects how we work as social workers. This is really for you to use as a resource to go away more informed how you might approach your work, how you might approach your service users, those that you support, how to survive on the front line, all of that. That's what this is about. So thank you again for listening. So yes, I've entitled this one, "We Found the Money!" So what I want to do is I want to show you how money is sourced and resourced. It's a really basic overview of how the UK does its thing, and really in principle how economies work and how social care is affected by that. One of the things though is that many don't understand how the economy works. So I think that, whilst people are screaming at the government for more money, more services, they should understand how things work and what the government does in order to make society function, because we operate at a deficit in general. We borrow money to make this country work. This country does a lot of business, but it also has a lot of debt. Just like America. America is the classic example of lots happening, lots of activity, no money. So the only way that we can function is if we borrow money from other countries, and that's the basic principle of how we fund ourselves in society. So we have fire stations, we have police stations, the police, social care, the NHS. Yes, we have taxes. Of course, taxes are there to as a form of revenue for the government, but the taxes do not cover what we see in British society. No, there's a lot that takes place in this country, and it's not funded by the taxes. It's just as simple as that. And whilst there are people who will lobby government, protest, we want more, we need this, we need that. One thing that everybody needs to bear in mind is that whilst this is a lovely, blossoming country, can I say that? It depends where you work, really. The economy doesn't work like that. The economy has to grow, and it needs to increase and then go through a depression. That's the nature of all economies. Economies don't just grow. And sometimes I listen to, professionals in the finance industry or government officials talking about we've had 1% growth here. We've had the fastest growing. It doesn't really work like that. And really, they're speaking to the person who doesn't get it. Economies have to inflate and they have to deflate. That's the natural. It's like a human being. We have good days and bad days, but sometimes those bad days are actually the body just healing itself, correcting something. So it's not all bad news. And so the economy cannot just increase forever. And that's why we use the term bubble. You guys, you're probably thinking, well, this is a social work platform. Why are we talking about this? I know you'll get it. You'll get it. The economy goes up and down. There are changes that take place. New markets. Could be a war. Could be, anything that can affect the economy. And inflation comes in and tries to correct things. The economy cannot go up forever. We cannot grow forever. Whenever you hear a government telling you about growth all the time, they're lying to you. It doesn't work like that. There has to be some level of depression. And therefore, we cannot have everything we want in society all the time. But when we do, when we get more, you can bet taxes will go up because there is more demand. And what you don't often hear is borrowing goes up. And in order to serve the interest and the deficit or the debt, we have to increase taxes. However, sometimes the government will come in and say, actually, no, let's do things a little different. Before we collapse financially, let's remove money from the system, right? Or remove our expenditure. Let's cut what we've been spending. And that's what any sound-minded human being would do. They would say, look, actually, we're struggling at the moment. Or the previous government spent money recklessly. Let's remove, we call it austerity. Let's remove some money. Let's remove some of the spend. This is where it gets interesting. The way that we responded to the pandemic showed us something different for many of us. And I hope that you were watching. I hope that you were watching. The way that we responded to this pandemic, it showed us something about money. Okay? I'm going to take you through an article on The National, the newspaper that supports the independent Scotland, yeah? As long as the sources are credible. And the title of the article, 1st of Feb this year, wow, that's it, the 1st of Feb this year, it says, the title is 8.7 billion worth of COVID pandemic PPE written off by UK government. I don't know if you know what that means, but I'm going to take you through some stats. Then I'm going to ask you some questions. There's quite a few stats. Hear it out. Pause, rewind, play it back. I'm going to take you through some very interesting statistics. So how the government responded to the pandemic and how much money. This is how much. Okay, let me take you through it. It says some 8.7 billion, not million, billion, spent by the UK government on PPE, that's personal protective equipment such as masks and stuff like that, gloves maybe, during the pandemic has been written off according to annual accounts. Think about this, people. Think about this. 8.7 billion has been thrown in the bin. It's been written off. Think about that. Now, I know some of you might say, actually, well, we did our best and that's the collateral damage. Yeah, think about it for a minute, please. 8.7 billion has been thrown in the bin. Why? New documents from the Department of Health and Social Care show huge amounts wasted on useless equipment while millions of pounds has been spent getting out of contracts for storing PPE at ports. According to the 2020 and the 2021 accounts, some £673 million worth of equipment was found to be totally unusable and 750 million was spent on items that were not used before their expiry date. Collateral damage, you might think, right? Nearly 2.6 billion was spent on items not usable for use in the NHS. 2.6 billion. So someone has got that money. That money was spent. That money was signed off, remember, by people who should have known what PPE looks like and what is usable. And there's a whole conspiracy behind that. I think maybe if you watch Panorama, you might see. And they've given some of that away to charities, that the equipment that they cannot use. The Department of Health and Social Care said the value of its remaining stock has been slashed by 4.7 billion. Are you getting billion? Like billion. As the price of PPE dropped. So they bought it when it was at its highest price. Most likely will happen. And then when the demand went down, it went down by half. Okay, there's more. The accounts further revealed that the Department of Health and Social Care expects that equipment that was scheduled to be delivered after the end of the financial year will lose 1.2 billion in value. Yep. The government was also charged 111.5 million for not moving containers full of PPE from a port to their storage facility on time. So it looks like the government were kind of duped. I don't even know if they were duped. I don't know what's going on here, but this is a lot of money where you're charged a lot just for not moving your stuff from the ports. That's 111 million. What type of contracting is that? Also in the accounts is a loss relating to fruit and veg after the school fruit and vegetable scheme was temporarily suspended when all schools were closed. So they lost stock. Lots of fruit and veg was just thrown in the bin. I'm taking you through this for a reason. Please bear with me. You will understand what we're doing here, right? They also had to pay for already contracted produce to be delivered to schools, leading to a loss of 1.25 million, which comprised of distribution costs of £657,000 and a produce cost of £590,000. So what they could have done was they could have told the schools, get that stuff out there. They could have paid workers around the country, delivery men who were struggling for work at the time, to deliver this stuff to the homes of the people who have the children in the schools. They could have done that. It just sat there and they had to throw it away. However, what they did do, which was nice, they donated £247,000 worth of fruit and veg to food charities. Oh man, I mean, there is a contrast in numbers here, and what they have given away, what they have charitied really, is 247. That's a £250,000 of food. Further losses recorded in the annual accounts include 1.1 million, amounting to the value of 70% of an undelivered order of ventilators, which did not fully meet functionality requirements at the time. Man. Oh, look, it's just so much. So yeah, look, I in no way think that the government should be perfect in its ways. It's impossible. This is a very complex country, very affluent country. There are going to be losses. That's not the issue here. However, I'm a social worker, just like all my other colleagues on the front line. And there is a real frustration. I'm going to tell you why. The Health Foundation have an article, February last year, and it looks at some of the figures relating to let's have a look, our estimates of what it would cost to stabilise and improve adult social care in England. Now, this is just adult social care. I don't need to go into all of social services, but this is just adult social care. And what they're looking at here is this: stabilising the current system and improving access to care at estimates of the adult social care funding gap. They explore the difference between the funding that they estimate councils would have available for social care and the estimates by 2030-31 range from 6.1 billion needed to meet the future demand to 14 billion to meet the future demand and improve. So really, we are in the next say 9-10 years, we are 6.1 billion we need 6.1 billion more just to meet what we are doing now. But we need just over double that to improve and pay people, it says here, to pay care providers more to improve the quality of the care that people receive. You might now see something about what I'm talking about here. In fact, what I'll do is I'll let you listen to this video, and then I'm going to answer the question where we found the money.
We've had nearly £1 billion taken away from new services since 2010. So you're taking away money and experiences and opportunities for young people to learn. and you're still expecting them to flourish, it doesn't make any sense. If you're not investing in young people, then there's no wonder why some are becoming deviant. You're not born deviant. You're becoming deviant because you become cold, because the world has been cold towards you.
That's right. We've had 1 billion taken away from youth services in the last 10 years. And I'm just going to let you know, if you're looking at coming into children's services, if you already work in children's services, or if you work on the front line, I am a social worker, and my colleagues, I'm speaking for you. Sometimes when you're trying to support young people, you have an idea of the service that is needed, but it's not there. Or you have a young person or a family, and you know maybe they need a family practitioner or a family therapist, because you know that without that, we're going to see a repeat of cycles of behavior, which have long-term implications. You're just looking at one generation sometimes being prepared for more problems later on. And if we had intervened 10 years ago or now, if we intervene now with just $1 billion, $2 billion, I mean, look, you saw the figures. That's $1 billion over 10 years. In the scheme of things and with the nature of what we're dealing with, it's not a lot. It's investment. But in 2 years, we found many more billions and threw away nearly 9 billion on waste. We found the money. This country doesn't have money, but it can generate income. Do you know what I mean? And we have the ability to change things. And whilst we're working on the front line, the expectation is that the boxes are ticked and the services are provided and the families are taken care of. But the money, but the services are not to hand. And local authorities, they will struggle. And that's the nature of the job now, guys. It's to really work on our back foot as best we can to support the people that we love. That's the challenge. And that's really me saying, when you come into this line of work, please expect that you will be, wow, you need to go and conjure up a magic wand to do your job, because it is really a challenge sometimes. And that's because this country hasn't prioritized where the funds should go. That is the job now. I'm not trying to unsell it to you. I'm just trying to prepare you for what it is. When you come into this job, please look after yourself and do your best for the people that you serve. Take care.